lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and back with me again is Chris Anderson, dope indie cartoonist. We've done an indie career spotlight. We did a group interview when Ghost Agents one was, I think, still live on Kickstarter. And you contributed to that book. So I know you got a new one that's live as we're talking. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Oh, good, man. I know, I get it.
And so I'm really glad to have you back, dude. Talk some comics, talk your comics, talk some other stuff too. So
yeah, thanks for having me back, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think since Ghost Agents, I mean, you've been very busy. I mean, like, you have a Patreon that you're constantly putting stuff on there. You know, you always send mini comics to all your supporters, which if you're not supporting Chris, make sure you go support his Patreon. Links down below. Yeah, what have you been up to since we last talked? Besides this?
Man, I've been up to a lot. So I had another successful Kickstarter with Chaotic Neutral.
Oh, that's right.
Right here.
I see it.
That's the mock-up. We still haven't fulfilled that one yet, just because we're still playtesting it, just to make sure that the module part of the comic works right. But we're almost done with that, so we're going to get that to the printer real quick, so everybody will get fulfilled real soon, and hopefully everybody's going to really love it. So yeah, we did that. What else? I did an issue of a book called Horrorium that Kyle Strom and Matthew Mitchell wrote, and then a couple of us other artists did stories in it, so I was part of that. I'm working on part 2 right now. I'm writing and drawing a story that's serialized in heavy metal right now for the next 12 issues total for the story. It's like completely silent, mostly a silent, like Aeon Flux like action, weirdness, trying to get some weirdness back into the pages of heavy metal. And yeah, I've been working on that, and now I'm kickstarting Spectral, which has been a book that has been like about 5 years in the making, and now it's time to get this thing made and funded and out the door and in people's hands.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, I know that I think I have 3 of the one-shots, and I think before we started recording, you said there's going to be 6 stories, right? And you're tying it all together with like an EC type comic with a host. Can you for everybody that is listening, watching and stuff, can you just kind of, give us like the kind of elevator pitch? Like what first of all, what was the initial idea behind doing these like horror one-shots?
So the horror one-shots came about because Dave Acampo, my friend and creative partner on this, we were working on Lost Angels together, the graphic novel that we did. And in between issues of that, the issues came out digitally, then we ended up collecting it all into a full graphic novel. But in between the issues of it, I wanted to draw something different. I was getting tired of drawing wings, and David had just come off of the DC talent hunt workshops that they did. He just got done doing that. So he was doing these big epic superhero stories and writing Lost Angels, which is epic, but not necessarily a superhero story. And he wanted to do something different. And I think I had drawn Creepshow at that time and had a really great time working with Greg Nicotero on that. And Dave was like, well, let's do our own version of that. And so I said, okay, so let's do just a 12-page short story that we can kick out, and we'll have it so we can sell it at conventions. And you won't have to like color the whole thing. We can just do a spot color. We'll do it red. We'll call it Devil Skin. So we did Devil Skin, right? And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was quick. I can kick that out in like a week and a half. So I did that, and we were like, well, let's do another one. And I said, well, why don't we like just do a different spot color on this time? Let's work our way through the spectrum and get to get all the way through. So we did Witch Heart next, and then we did Wolf Moon, and Dollhouse was done during the pandemic. And we actually released that as an Instagram comic. So if you go to Dollhouse Comic, I think, Instagram, you can read the entire story. And it was told in these just squares. And so we were able to collect it in like 6-panel grids, the entire story. So,
Nice.
And then after that, we did the blue one, Afterlife, and the final one was Deep Thirst. But we had to kind of put them together in a package if we were going to put them out. You know, we could have put them out just here's the stories and here's the same covers and everything, but we wanted to make it its own kind of thing. And actually, we never released Afterlife and Deep Thirst as individual comics for people to buy. But we needed a through line, and a friend of mine named Andy Jensen, he owns a company called Son of Jen Puppets. And kind of while we were in the middle of doing this, he just sort of like built these puppets based off of the devil and the witch and the wolf and the creep from Dollhouse. In fact, he made this Skeletor puppet right here. So we were like, well, what if the host that turns this thing into like an EC horror thing is like a puppeteer, and we used like the puppet designs that Andy based off of my designs to sort of tell the story to these kids in these little in-between stories. So yeah, we created this character called Professor Spectral, who goes around in his wagon and tells these tales to little kiddies. And yeah, it ends up creating this whole story of its own. And by the end, it's kind of like, ooh, maybe we're going to do a whole nother run of this kind of thing. But and then that'd be real fun. The project kind of like told us what it wanted to be, you know, like Andy made the puppets, and so then it became the puppeteer host and stuff like that. And we were like, let's run with this thing.
That's awesome. So the two other stories that you said were not released in single issues, which makes sense because that I would have been able to get them. But you created those aren't the only two new stories, right? You said you also created another new story, or is the new story the through line?
It's the through line. It's the through line. So it's like 6 pages in the beginning, 6 pages in the end, I think, and then a page in between every other story to kind of like bounce us to the next one.
Awesome. And what made you decide to not release those two and then just go straight to Kickstartering the collection of all of them?
You know, because I didn't want people to be like, well, I've got all of the stories already anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's just one other long story connecting them. Why would I back this? And so we kind of
smart.
Well, I'll say this. I will say this. There are a couple of printed issues of it. So they are out there, but there's only like 12 copies of each out there. And I'm only going to have them at Heroes Con in a couple weeks. And that's it. But yeah, other than that, I didn't want I wanted them to be rare or non-existent, so that people would back this thing, and that would be the final product, you know.
I like that. It's smart for the collector, or somebody that like just like has OCD like myself. Somebody like myself would be like, no, I still need the singles, but I'll also get the trade as well. But yeah, it is more of an incentive, you know, because like sometimes I see people I mean, and usually if I want to support somebody, I'm going to support them. So I'll just get both, because there's certain creators or like, you know, whatever, I'll do both, right?
Sure.
But there are those people, like you just said, that, well, I have the stories, so why am I going to do this?
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted you to get your dollar's worth with this thing, you know. Yeah. And you know, if you wanted to collect all of the singles, it would be like, you know, $30 for the singles, but it's 20 for the book, for the collected thing, with the overarching story that connects them all. So it's even a better value.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, Kickstarter, you know, like you already had, I mean, Chaotic Neutral, was that your first Kickstarter?
Well, actually, no. Lost Angels was the first Kickstarter.
Oh, okay, that was a Kickstarter. Okay.
Yeah, we did that in 2015, I want to say. That was part of the Comicer Press publishers launch. So it was Lost Angels and another book got launched at the same time as that. Okay. So that was the first one. And then, yeah, the next big one that I did was with Mark Sable for Chaotic Neutral, right?
Yeah, and then also Ghost Agents was, I think, was around the same time, right? If I remember correctly. And now, so this will be your fourth Kickstarter, right? Like, what do you find about Kickstarters that what do you think about Kickstarter makes it such an appealing avenue to go with your, like, producing your books instead of just doing the self-publishing thing, you know, or maybe getting like through a distributor and getting in the shops that way?
I mean, it's a complicated answer. We wanted to retain our control over the book. Like I said, the book was telling us what it wanted to be, and if we got a publisher involved, then you got editorial involved, and things get changed and things like that. And we knew this thing just needed to be the way it needed to be. Kickstarter in general, though, owning my rights is a huge thing. Owning the rights to my books and my stories is huge to me. And not saying that I wouldn't go to a regular publisher, but if I can grow my audience through Kickstarter, which seems to be working, and distribute it through there, because really now it's just become sort of a distribution machine in itself. Mm-hmm. I would rather do that so I can own the rights. And I could go to Image Comics or something like that, but you know, good luck getting an answer back from them like half the time. If I could get in, great. But you know, I would love to be able to get these books distributed wider. And I think that's the one thing that is lacking with the Kickstarter, is that after it, I'm going to have, you know, 2,000 copies of this book, and then it's up to me to go out and, you know, push it even more once it's in existence. But you know, if there was a way to get them placed in shops and stuff, like this whole process would practically be perfect. But no, I think that there's just like a more personal touch to the Kickstarter, reaching out and having to, you know, me having to get in front of the fans and building an audience and having a, you know, personal relationship with the entire audience that way too.
Yeah. And would you say also like coming up with the different stretch goals and like I mean, there's a pledge where you can get the puppets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is pretty unique, you know, obviously, you know, like original pages of art, which is always cool. Mm-hmm. You know,
they're going fast too.
does that make it also a more appealing way to sell your books because that you can do cool shit like that?
It does, and I think that question is more for people who are backing it than it is for me. Like, does that appeal to backers? It seems to. It seems the answer seems to be yes. Like, it seems to be that you know, I have the chance to fund this thing to make it a reality, but also I can also get these exclusive things on top of it that you really can't get otherwise, like these pins that we have, or the puppets. So the puppets, Andy made these like hand puppets that you can get. They're like one of the less expensive versions of the puppets. But also he made these big Muppet style puppets like this one behind me. And and there's only 4 of them, so that's it. Once those are gone, they're gone. He's not going to make any more of those. He'll make more of the small ones, as many of the small ones as we sell, but yeah, like those are super exclusive. So, you know, if you get your hands on those and then something happens and all of a sudden Andy's puppet company blows up and it becomes the next Cabbage Patch Kids, then, you know, you have one of the originals, you know, in your possession, and it could actually be financially a good move for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things I love about, I know there's other funding platforms. Obviously Kickstarter is like the most, I don't want to say the most known, but it's like when you think of like, oh, I'm going to crowdfund, people immediately Kickstarter, right? Like obviously there's Indiegogo, it's
ubiquitous, right? Yeah. It's like not that ubiquitous is the wrong word. It's like Kleenex, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like Q-tips,
right?
Same thing,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So why? I mean, well, no, I know why, right? Because like you said, it's like it's almost like brand name, right? Like Kickstarter. But is there, or have you ever thought of using some of the other platforms? Because I know, I'm not trying to like make this about Kickstarter, but I know that there were some people that were kind of upset with the platform for being on the blockchain or whatever the hell. I don't understand that crap, so I'm not going to talk about what I don't know. Yeah. But I do know that was like a lot of people were talking about it, right?
It was, yeah. They changed their mind too, which was a big.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but Indiegogo has sort of got branded into the in the comics world, got branded into very like, oh, they must be Comicsgate if they're on,
okay, all right, yeah, that's kind of what I
Indiegogo.
was thinking too.
So I wasn't going for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be lumped into that crowd or associated with that whatsoever. And then also, well, Zoop looked very appealing. Zoop looks very appealing. I may use Zoop in the future. They actually reached out to me before we launched this, not for this project, but to possibly do another project with them. So that's a possibility in the future. But for right now, Kickstarter seems to be the way to do it. And I think I can bring my fan base and my email list and all that stuff over to Zoop too. And that's interchangeable. So, the platform doesn't really matter. It's the one-on-one ability to go and, interact with your audience that's appealing to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I've only backed, I think Matthew Allison, what did he do for the Kankar Collective? Whatever he did, that was the first, I think, is it like crowdfunder, like with an R at the end? Something like that. So like usually like I only do Kickstarter and I haven't gotten burned yet, but you do hear those horror stories like people.
I've been burned. I've been burned.
Yeah, I'm like 3 years later. I mean, I'm not gonna name any names. There are a couple that are still, I haven't got, but at least they'll do updates every once in a while. And one of them is a very, well-known creator. So I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna say he's gonna like burn me, but you hear that kind of stuff, so that's why I'm so trepidation about like even doing another platform, unless it's somebody like a Matthew Allison,
right, where it's done and
right.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking, I want to touch on what you were talking about earlier, like working with an editor. Like you're working with an editor for heavy metal for sure, right? What is the difference for you when you're creating work, whether it's like for yourself and you have like the free reign to do whatever you want, you don't have an editor over you, like what is appealing about both? Because I know like for me, like I always like to pick the brains of editors. Like Shelley Bond is somebody that I've talked to a lot, right? I think a great editor can make a project greater, not necessarily like are they writing the book or drawing the book, but just having that other voice can change a project. So how does that differ for you when you're doing something like Spectral, which is all you and David, right? Or working with heavy metal?
It depends on the editor. Let's just say that. Okay. Like you said, Shelley Bond or people like that. There's a lot of really great editors out there that know the craft, that know the craft, and they know the storytelling, and they throw in their 2 cents and can and oftentimes they're right and it's better. And then but I've had editors in the past that just say things off the cuff and and can't justify why they want something changed. And I know that this is what I do all the time. I know my story. I know how to tell a story. I know what I'm doing, and I can justify my choices every single time. I don't do things just willy-nilly. And so, just to not have to have that kind of back and forth is a positive thing, because you don't always get to choose what editor you have depending on the project you're working on. But it's, and having an editor is not a bad thing. It's just who the editor is. Like there's potential. And so with this one, we just didn't even want to like I said, this thing was telling us what it wanted to be, and we didn't want to have anything getting in the way of that.
I mean, like I said, like I can tell, or I feel like I can tell, I'm pretty sure I can tell when a book is like poorly edited, like where there's no direction, nobody's reining in writer A, right, or whatever, artist A, from what they're doing, and like it's just not a cohesive story. And it's like, how did that get through? So I was just kind of curious, because you have done a lot of self-published stuff where you're not going through a publisher, and then also working for something like heavy metal, which is huge in and of itself. Yeah. And that's not to say that I don't want to work for publishing companies. No. Yeah, I'm not trying to say you don't want to work for publishers.
For all publishers.
So you and David have a very symbiotic working relationship. I mean, multiple books, right? What do you how do you guys like, do you guys get on Zoom? Do you guys get on the phone to hash stuff out? How does that work, since you guys aren't in the same, because he doesn't live in LA, right?
No, he used to. He did when we worked on Lost Angels, but now he lives in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
With this project was a lot of fun for a lot of reasons. So first of all, so it took us 5 years to do it, not because we weren't trying to rush it, and it was just whenever I had some time, I would do a story, you know. So there was a gap in between a lot of this stuff. But Dave also wanted to write this in a way that, like, the way he puts it is every page is a frame-worthy page, something that somebody would want to buy, like at a convention or anywhere, like, you know, on our Kickstarter. And so I kind of experimented with my style in this thing too. So what we would do is, like, he would experiment also with the way that he wrote the script. So some of these scripts were done like Marvel style, and he would just give me a blurb like, this has to happen on this page, or that has to happen on this page. Some of them would be full scripts. Some of them would have reference. Some of them would be like super loose, and I would completely build it myself. And then a lot of times, so I'll just read it and get to work a lot of times. And then other times, like with Deep Thirst, there was a mishap that happened where he accidentally wrote one too many pages. It happens. Like page 6 was twice, and it made it into a 13-page book. And so the reveals, because in horror, your reveal, you know, your jump scare or whatever, you can't do a jump scare in a comic book, in my opinion. But like, you do at least have reveals, you know.
Right.
So it threw off the reveal for it to have the extra page. And so I came in and I was like, well, you know, like, we can actually take everything that's happening in this double page and consolidate it into this thing and get rid of part of it and move it around so that, you know, it actually, and he looked at it and he's like, hey, wow, you're actually right. And it actually makes it for a stronger story. So we would go back and forth that way, either talking on the phone or Zoom or email or any way that we can, really.
And do you guys have any other ideas like that you have for after? I mean, well, obviously this is done, right? Everything
this is
Spectral is done.
Yep.
So are you guys working on anything else together? Do you guys have plans to maybe do something similar to this again with the, you know, the I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, like a color series, you know, like where you're doing just the spot color? Do you have ideas for more?
Yeah. There's like talk between us, depending on whether or not, like, how successful this book is. If people seem to really love it and want more, we'll do another one of these. But also we've got like 3 or 4 pitches that we have put together, like, you know, 12 pages of art for each of them done, that are out there. So, you know, just kind of waiting to see if they find a home, and otherwise we'll, you know, there's one in particular that we're like, this thing really needs to be out there. So if we get shot down by publishers, we'll just make it ourselves, you know. We don't let anything stop us from telling a good story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you constantly are posting art all the time, and it's not like your art is like not full of detail, like it's super rendered. You know, how many pages can you do in a day? Is it a page a day sometimes, or do you sometimes do more than a page in a day?
Sometimes I'll do more than a page a day.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, I gotta kick them out. Like this month alone, I had an 8-page heavy metal story due. I finished it yesterday, fully colored. I've got a 6-page story that I need to thumbnail today for. There's a movie coming out on Shudder that there's a tie-in comic for, and they asked me to do 6 pages of it. So I watched the movie last night, and now I've got to break it down and do those pages. I got to get those kicked out by the end of the month. And then also on the second issue of Horrorium with Kyle and Matt is due at the end of the month. I've got 1 page done for that. So what is that? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 pages fully colored due by the end of the month now. And in the middle of the month, I have to fly to Charlotte for Heroes Con. Yeah, I'm going to be doing 2 pages a day for a little while. Luckily I have a flatter now to to do some flats for my colors, and I can kick all those pages out in like a day or two, but color wise. But yeah, no, I work all the time, and that doesn't even include the fact that I've got like other comics work that like is sort of the day job, and I get like storyboard jobs that'll just drop in and be like, are you available today? And the answer is always yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot to do.
I do a lot.
I wanted to ask this too. What goes into pitching? Like you're talking about pitching to publishers, right? Like you said, you have 12 pages done for each of those ideas you get. Like what goes into that? Like how do you even approach that? Like because I'm kind of curious. I've never pitched,
yeah. This is the making the sausage part of the conversation, right? So for pitching, what we do is we come up with there's a 1-page synopsis of what the story is about from beginning to end, or what we have planned out for it. And then it depends on who you're pitching to, but like I think Image wants 12 pages, other places want 8, other places want 5. So I'll usually do out like the full 12. I'll draw like half of the story of the first issue. So I'll do like 12 pages of that. And then the concept art and stuff like that will also go into the pitch. And then sometimes there'll be like a full script for the first issue. That's put into a package, and then we send it off to editors that we have relationships with. Not cold. I mean, kind of cold. We at least have like a back and forth with these editors. It's not like I'm sending them to somebody who I've never talked to before, but it's also not like they're asking what I have right now at this point in my career. By next year, that's the goal, to have them coming to me.
Yeah, dude, they should be coming to you. I don't know why they're not already.
That's the goal. Well, man, like my career really has only like been seriously going for about 3 years, and so it hasn't been that long.
It's crazy because it feels like you've been around for a while. It feels like I've known you for a while, and I know it's only been like a couple years probably since we even started talking, dude. I think Spectral, first of all, the issues I read, awesome. Super dope project. I'm glad I was the first backer. That's the first time I've ever been the first backer on anything. The minute it hit the thing, I was like, I raced over. I'm like, I have to be first backer,
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of course, dude. And you, like, as I'm looking at it right now, you got 120 backers. What is the ups and downs too, like with the Kickstarter? Because I know there's always waves that people always talk about. Like you get that first push in the beginning, right? How do you, obviously, like we're doing it right now, this is how you keep the momentum going. We're talking, and I'm gonna be promoting it, right? But
keep hoeing it.
So how do you constantly keep that momentum going, besides like you're just constantly posting, sharing it? How do you keep the excitement alive for it and continue?
I keep the excitement alive in it for myself, which hopefully comes across on the old robot, to other people. And hopefully they see it, because you know how algorithms work. Like you could send something out and only a few people are going to see it, when everybody should be seeing it. But I just got to keep posting, keep trying to explain what it is, like, and then like there's a good portion of like Facebook that's family and friends who aren't in comics and have no idea what a Kickstarter is. So you also have to educate people on what that is. We're really just trying to get the word out to as many people as possible. And if anybody listening to this, please like put it on your social media too, please. Just trying to get it out there and in front of people, because we think it's a really awesome project, and we really want to get it in everybody's hands, and nobody wants to fail on their Kickstarter. That is death. I did a comic for this band, Murder by Death, for their latest Kickstarter, and they had like 2,000 backers on it and got like, I don't know, a couple $300,000 or something crazy like that. Nice. So they said that they're going to kick it out to all their backers in their next update. So hopefully that'll give us a bit of a bump. But we're asking for $12,000, which is a lot. It's a lot. But with the puppets, and Andy's going to get all the money for the puppets and stuff like that. So if we figure in the puppets and things like that, and the printing costs, and shipping and all that stuff after. Well, actually, shipping is going to be charged afterwards, but like just all the other costs that we have, we had to ask for that much.
Yeah,
So,
no, for sure.
So, like we're just trying to get to that line. And so I have a feeling it's going to come down to the wire, but I really hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that we're going to get some sort of big bump right in the middle. But you're right, it goes in crazy waves. Like I know during the weekend, I think we got like 7 backers or something like that. Whereas like the first day we got like 50. So it's like, it always goes like that. The weekends are always dead anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it sucks with like algorithms too when you're sharing stuff, because like I know for myself when I'm sharing a video that I posted, right? Like
Yeah.
I have some of my friends, like one of my friends in like Canada, she's like, I rarely see your posts, even on Instagram. And I'm like, I don't even understand that. Like you would think the people that interact with the posts when they are posted, those people would see it, but it is such a like, to me it's a mystery. I have no idea how to fucking beat algorithms on this crap.
I know, it's like Oz behind the curtain, man. It's like you have no idea what's going on back there. And how are you supposed to do it? And then you also don't want to drive people crazy by overposting, but I don't know if you can overpost.
I don't see that's my opinion. That's what I was like telling my my brother when he did one. I think he did it like almost 2 years ago. It's hustling, man. You gotta hustle. You have to do it. You have to do it so much that either somebody gets annoyed and they're just like, fuck, all right, and they back it, or maybe they're not seeing it. You don't know, especially like we're saying with these algorithms. So like just keep posting. You never know. Maybe somebody sees it once, like, I'll get to it, right? But what if they forget? So if you're constantly posting, you're going to constantly get backers, especially with something like this. Or even if you're not doing Kickstarter and you're just selling your stuff yourself, you're getting them printed with your own money, and you're just doing it that way. I never think that I don't ever get annoyed,
right? I don't either.
I've never once got annoyed at anybody sharing their stuff that they're trying to get out there. I mean, like I appreciate the hustle. That's what I think. I'm like, man, they deserve my money. That's what I think. I'm like, they deserve it because they're fucking going for it, and that they're doing the thing, man.
Yeah, and at some point in the campaign here, probably in like the 3rd week or something, like the 3rd week I'll be in Charlotte. But the probably at some point in this campaign here, what I'll do is I'll go in and I will try to do like a personal note to every single person that follows me, to try to get them to back it. And that's exhausting, and it's also hard to make it look like it's not just like a blasted text, so that I blasted to everybody. But you got to just do it. You got to try to connect any way possible. So
totally agree. And in terms of like stretch goals, do you ever think about stretch goals in terms of a way to entice people to do it too? And are there stretch goals in mind for this?
Yeah, there's a ton of stretch goals in mind. But the thing is if we don't get to that first line, like that is our first stretch goal.
Yeah.
So we don't want to throw out what the stretch goals are. We might as it gets closer to the end, we might throw them out there just to entice people to maybe like up their pledges or something. Mm-hmm. But we don't want to even put it out there until it's even a possibility. Everything I've researched this a ton, and that's what everybody suggests to do. And I've had like one-on-one conversations with people like Ryan Brown and from God Hates Astronauts, and Jerry, like that thing just gets like he crushes the Kickstarters. And so I just having a phone call with him and like having him lay it out for me like really helped a lot. Him and Jeremy Hahn, when he did his Hansology, like he helped us a lot with Chaotic Neutral. And so I just retained all of that stuff for this. And like everybody kind of says, like, don't post it until it's getting close to time that it could be a reality. Because right now you're just trying to hit that goal. For
sure. Well, everybody listening and watching, I'm going to drop the link down to the Kickstarter. Make sure you head over to Kickstarter and back it. As of the day we're talking, there's 24 days left. So I'm assuming by the time, it'll be around 22, maybe 22 days left will be on the Kickstarter.
But don't wait.
Don't wait till the end, because I'll tell you something. I missed out on a book on Zoop recently because I thought I had time and I didn't have time, and now
And I think I know what book you're
SOL.
talking about. And if that's the case, that thing was going for at least 40 days and was
Yeah.
also being hyped for at least 3 months before that.
I know.
How did you miss that?
I missed it because I was low on funds, and I'm like, I'll do it
Oh,
I'll do it when I have the money to spend, you know, because and
yeah,
whatever, you do know exactly what I'm talking about because
yeah, I do.
but
do.
whatever.
I'm a featured artist for one of the pinups for that. I was excited to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that there will be a way to get it, but I'm upset that I missed the crowdfunding for it. But
don't worry,
yeah, don't wait for Spectral. Make sure you go back it. But before we wrap up, dude, I just want to ask, like, what else are you working on besides heavy metal? You got anything else in the works? Any of the, you know, I know we're both in the CKRS group. Is there any of those projects that you're jumping on, or
I'm not on any of them right now. I'm not. I did the Weapon X. That was a lot of fun to work on. But I'm not doing any of the kayfabe things right now, just because my plate is crazy full right now.
Yeah.
I can't take on anything else that I'm not getting, you know, paid for right now. But I definitely will, and I will champion those things and back and those books like nobody's business. I'm always there to help and cheer on people from the group, and try to get them front and center, and you know, retweet and repost things that people are trying to do on there, because there's so many great creators in that group, and people who are just on the cusp of, you know, really being something big. And I just want to, you know, try to help everybody and push everybody out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anything else though that you're
Horrorium too. So that one's like kind of a thing that you can only really kind of, well, I have a couple, I think, no, do I have any copies on my website? I might, but that's a kind of a thing that you can only get like at conventions.
That's what I was going to ask, because I never even heard of the book till you mentioned it.
I think the plan is to do the first few issues and then release it as a collective thing, kind of like what I'm doing with Spectral.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. And follow Kyle Strom, you know, like, and Matt Mitchell. You know, Kyle's doing Twig with Scotty Young right now, and thing, that's the success story of the century with that thing. So, you know, follow him, and I'm sure he'll be talking about issue 2 for Horrorium too. So.
And then you were also mentioning you're going to be at Heroes Con.
I am.
Is this the first con that you've been to since COVID, or have you?
No, I did C2E2. In December, I want to say.
Okay.
And that was pretty great. But this is the first time I've ever done Heroes Con. I'm taking commissions if anybody is listening and is going to be there. So just get a hold of me, or, you know, hit me up while you're there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Heroes Con. I know,
I'm jealous. I'm very jealous of you.
So many people are going to be there. It's going to be really exciting.
So fucking jealous. Yeah. I wish I could have got the time off, but I'm already going. I'm already going on my vacation. I'm like, fuck, I can't ask for that much time off, you know?
Oh my God. Like, everybody's going to be there. It's nuts. It's crazy. Yeah. Did you see the creator list? It's crazy.
I know. All right. Well, besides Heroes Con, I was just wondering, you have any recommendations? Anything you read recently that you want to give a little shout out to?
God, what have I been reading lately? It's funny. I haven't been reading a whole lot of new stuff. I just read, actually, what did I read? Nick Dragata's Ghost. What's it called? Ghost.
Oh yeah, what is that? I know what you're talking about.
The title is escaping me. Yeah, but man, that thing's pretty fun.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful, and it looks like, you know, something that's been imported from Japan. Like
that's what I was saying. Yeah, dude. Total manga influence.
It looks really, really awesome. So I've been digging that. I just read Berserk for the first time, the first volume of it.
Oh, is that what that? I see that up there. Yeah. It's awesome, isn't it?
Yes. And I've been reading I've been starting to pull in a bunch of old Gold Key books, Dagar the Invincible or something like that. I've been reading because I discovered Jesse Santos' art, and I never knew who he was, and so I've just been like poring over that and watching that line work, part of the like the with the Filipino invasion or whatever they called it, with him and Alex Nino and stuff like that. And just like, I love that artwork that those guys put out in the early 70s. So I've been digging that lately.
Right on. I mean, I read a lot of old stuff too. I'm constantly, it's like a balance of like, I read some new stuff, but and then I read a lot of old stuff, because to me, sometimes it's just like a comfort thing, or like I end up discovering somebody that I never heard of. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And then I just deep dive into it,
Yeah, I'm always looking for recommendations for stuff too, because like, I don't get a chance to get to the store as often as I would like to. And because I'm working constantly, I work from the time that I get up at like 7:30 and pretty much start working until like 5 o'clock if I can stop, or I just keep going. And so like, I don't get much time to consume media and look at comics like I should. And so like, I'm always like asking people like, what's good? What do I need to read now? What's the most exciting thing that you've been checking out? So yeah, I'm glad that you asked, but unfortunately, besides that, Nick Dragata's one is pretty phenomenal.
It is really good. Yeah.
So
I know Daniel Warren Johnson has a new book coming out too this
I'm looking forward to that.
Powerbomb. I love everything he does.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm jealous of the fact that he has so much kinetic energy in his stuff and can put it out so fast. Like, he only, he's a page a day guy too, but he's like, and with a family and stuff, he made rules for himself, and he busts those pages out so fast.
Yeah, I know.
2 hours and he's done.
I don't know how he does it too. Yeah, because I know having a kid can be like juggling that and my work, and then doing the YouTube stuff too. It can be very difficult. But I watch you guys like that have families too, like with drawing comics. I'm like, I don't know how the fuck you guys do it.
I have no idea.
I have no idea how you get it done. But yeah, well, dude, thank you so much for asking me to help do the promotion for this Kickstarter. I dig your work so much.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, of course, dude. Anytime that you got something up, I'm always happy to help do. And
I appreciate it, man.
Like I said before, make sure you back the Kickstarter. Spectral on live right now. Also hit up the Patreon for Chris, and for everybody else that doesn't know where to follow you. Can you share all the social media links, and I'll drop those down below as well.
Yeah. At my Instagram is at Chris Anderson Comics, and my Twitter is at Chris A Comics. And you got my website is colormechrisanderson.com, or also chrisandersoncomics.com. And yeah, that's about it, I think.
All right, cool. Well, dude, again, thank you, and I can't wait to do this again soon.
Thanks, dude.